And now, for your listening pleasure,
Today is Lost Moments Day, and every year at this time I wear the heavy cloak of sad memories that will always be a part of my life. This is what grief feels like you're wearing a heavy, heavy cloak, and you can't get it off. I'm Carol Ann Sanic, life coach, author, high-value woman. This is my podcast, Thrive. We're 365 days a year. I hope to help you thrive too. Last week, I announced in my private group on Facebook that I'll be starting a grief group. It will be a live group, and I've already had people asking to be notified. It will be at noon because I had to choose a time when people could join from Europe and in Israel, where I have friends who grieve. My dear friend in Israel had a severely autistic child with a heart defect. She eventually died, but he grieves every day for her loss. 6 years ago, on the 13th of February, I lost a pet bird. I know that doesn't sound important, but I happen to like birds. Or not an important loss, it is important. My late husband buried her in a little box where he had laid other birds to rest in our front yard. That was the beginning of our last week together, and I remember it well. I sat there all evening with this tiny creature on my chest covered with a towel to keep her warm until she took her last breath. I know animals and birds do not know death. They may know something is different, something isn't right, but death is not a word in their understanding. I was keeping her warm, but I was also comforting myself. I couldn't stand the thought of her dying at the bottom of her cage. She couldn't perch any longer. No, she belonged on my chest. Our dogs have always been treated with love and comfort too when it was time to say goodbye. Their collars were never removed until they were gone. When our first boy needed to cross the bridge, we wept for weeks. After that, every pet we had was my responsibility, and it came with a heavy price. Pet grief is very hard. I cry when clients share their grief. I know the pain. I'm Carol Ann Sanic, life coach, author, high-value woman. This is my podcast, Thrive. Thank you all so much for listening, and that's a wrap.